Hello, guys. Welcome to the Marigold Standard, your weekly audio source of all things Dream Star Fighting Marigold. I am your host, Rob Goodwin. Happy Independence Day to all of our American listeners, including my co host, Mr. Matt Turner. Matt Turner, we're back again, brother. In the words of Eric Bischoff, I'm back and sort of better than ever.
Don, speaking of Eric Bischoff, you see he posted something last week with him and Diamond Dallas Page working out. Like he's shredded. He's like 70 years old. Good on him. Good on him. I like Eric Bischoff. He changed pro wrestling. He really, really did. He really did. He forced Vince to do some crazy stuff or basically steal from ECW. Another story for another day. Rob Goodwin, so great to see you. 2 days in a row, I get to see that beautiful face. Yes, as we're recording, it is the 4th of July here in the United States. It is Independence Day. Rob Goodwin, what a better way to start off the show when let's talk about maybe, you want to hear a little story from Uncle MT?
I live for these small stories from Uncle MT.
Now, literally, it is Uncle MT because this story involves my youngest nephew. So yesterday, we got done recording, and literally just as I got done recording, my nephew comes in said door. And he's like, I was waiting for you to get done podcast, and I heard you finish. He's like, Amber said dinner's ready. I said, okay. I said, you came over for dinner. He's like, yeah. Now, usually he always comes over to play Madden, the John Madden football game. Rob, as you know, I don't play video games as much as I like. I'm a busy guy. Whenever he comes over, he likes to play Madden football. Now, for our non-American listeners, first of all, hello. I'm just going to explain the rules of American football. If you get a touchdown, it's worth 6 points. You get an extra point. That is 7. A field goal, which is something you kick, that is 3 points. So every time me and him play, it always comes down to the wire, constantly. So we pick our teams. I'm Washington. He is the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, and he picks the weather rain. Because you can pick your weather conditions, and it's very important. He picks rain. Rob, the first time, 2 times I throw a football because of the rain, interception. So I'm like, okay, clearly I need to run the football. So the game is going back and forth. Final minute of the game, he gets down to the goal line, kicks a field goal. There's like maybe 30 seconds left. Less than that. Probably, there was 20 seconds left. So I got 1 timeout left. He is up 23-20. So I'm sitting there. Now, Amber just sat down. She's like, oh, you're finally going to beat your uncle. You're finally going to beat your uncle. I think he's beat me once. So I'm sitting there going, if I can get a big pass play off here. Now, granted, I've thrown 2 interceptions. If I get a big pass play off, I can either run out of bounds or call timeout and kick a field goal and tie it at 23-all. So he likes to blitz. So again, there's like 20 seconds left. I'm sitting there going, he's in man coverage, which is he doesn't have all of his defenders in the back to defend the big play. He's in man coverage. And I have my fastest receiver on the left on a one-on-one. So I drop back to pass. My receiver goes down about 15 yards. And because it's rain, his defensive back slips. So my guy, wide open, throw a bomb, runs downfield, scores a 75-yard touchdown pass, the final seconds of the game, and I wind up winning. And my wife is like, are you kidding me? How did you not know to put an extra defensive back there against his fastest receiver? The rain killed me the whole game, Rob. 2 interceptions, my first 2 plays, and then finally he gets him back. He slips on the final play. My receiver goes 75 yards for the touchdown. Now, that does not end there, Rob, because about an hour and change ago, I was coming home from the gym, and my wife is going to set up because this week coming up, they have Vacation Bible School, which, of course, my wife pretty much runs the whole deal. As I'm coming home from the gym, I see she's going up to church. I'm like, oh, that looks like Amber's car. And I see my nephew in the car because he likes to help out. So I call the phone, my wife's phone, pretending like I didn't see her. She's like, hey, I'm on my way to church. You're on speakerphone. I was like, hon, I completely forgot to tell you. I don't know if you saw, but Eli, he blew the game yesterday. I said, he was winning the whole game. I scored a 75-yard. I said, can you believe that? And he goes, yeah, he's in the car with me. He's like, yeah, you're such a jerk, Uncle. I was like, I know I saw you in the car. I was like, what a great way to start my 4th of July weekend, brother.
Absolutely. Rinsing a kid. That's exactly
11 years old. I'm 43. You know what I mean?
Doesn't matter. He needs to learn. Tough love, Matt Turner. Tough love. No, I'm glad to see that you are still winning. You are throwing the game, which is obviously a good thing.
I'm not good at these games. There's a couple times I played like Street Fighter a couple years ago. Street Fighter 2 back in the 90s was my jam. I literally can beat everybody. So as I played Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, I'm like, the controls are kind of similar. I'll go online and play. No, I think I'm like 0 for 50.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm done with that. Yeah, I'm those games have passed me. Give me Mega Man 2, give me Tecmo Super Bowl, but yeah, give me WrestleFest. I don't, these newer games, these young kids whip me on. They whip me on. But that was, again, great way to start out 4th of July weekend. Obviously, we are like 24 hours away of what is probably going to be the best concert in the history of concerts with the final farewell from Ozzy, Black Sabbath. Super excited about that. And actually, a question, Rob. Actually, I told you my dad called me earlier today. He was just curious, how far away is this concert from you? Because it is in England.
About an hour. It's literally down the road.
And you didn't get tickets.
Sold out instantly, mate.
I would have figured a way out. I was contemplating getting on a flight and going, wow.
Do you know what? I genuinely thought you might have been doing, and had you would, of course, have been more than welcome to stay here. I did wonder if you'll be flying over for Black Sabbath's final ever show, but no, I've been listening to some of the Sabbath in the car. I've been listening to a bit of Metallica as well, just to get me in the mood, because obviously they're doing a set. Gojira, because they're doing a set. It's going to be an interesting one. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, probably the two most violent mosh bands I have ever seen, Lamb of God and Slayer, are on the bill.
A Slayer on the bill as well. I didn't realize Slayer on the bill as well.
Anthrax, Rage Against the Machine, I think Alice in Chains. Alice in Chains is a pretty heavy band, but they're kind of like, compared to all the other bands, they're kind of like, okay, we can breathe a little bit here. But yeah, a great lineup. No Megadeth, not that I want to be, how can you be negative about that lineup? Like, how did you not get Megadeth?
Selfish.
Yeah, I really am. But no, man, super jacked for it, and super jacked for my post 4th of July party, which I will be running down drunk on Slip and Slide probably around noon my time. So pumped for that, buddy.
Absolutely, as you should be. It's probably going to be quite a short show today on the Marigold Standard, guys. Just the one show to review from Saitama, but it did mean that we rounded out the Dream Star Grand Prix, which we're going to be talking about momentarily. Now, I know that this is obviously the Marigold Standard. We don't ordinarily talk about Stardom news on the Marigold Standard, but I feel like we would be remiss if we didn't just wish our best to Rina, who it is the New Blood 23 show. I believe it finished just an hour or so ago. Unfortunately, she caught a diving crossbody from Emma Maishima in the ring, and it was a really, really nasty bang that she sustained to the back of the head. Was knocked clean out by the looks of it. Wasn't responding to the referee's count. Match was thrown out by a referee stoppage. A little bit more of an update has been provided by Stardom and by President Okada in the ring as well, because I know someone tweeted out from the actual show itself that she's conscious, she's moving her limbs and everything. It looks like it is a concussion, which obviously you still need to be very, very careful of, but it could have been a lot worse. I don't think anyone is to blame for it. It's pro wrestling. It happens. I've seen the spot. No one's done anything particularly different. I don't know whether Rina's taken a step too far forward, or if, Emma Maishima has jumped a little bit too far. It's no one has done anything dangerous. It's unfortunately one of those accidents that happen in pro wrestling, and obviously we wish Rina nothing but the absolute best. It does, however, throw into a little bit of doubt as to whether she will be fit for the Corrigan Hall show, which is going to be taking place in 2 days. I would suggest that if she's got concussion, she won't be on that card, and even if it's concussion-like symptoms, I would still be very wary of having her on that card just 2 days after this, Matt.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see it. I woke up, went right to the gym, came home, and we're ready to rock and roll here. And but I didn't see the show. I did see the spot because it was put on social media. From what I see, and I only saw it really, really quick. From what I see, I think it was a little bit from column A, a little bit from column B. I think maybe Emma might have came up a little bit too high, and Rina might have been in a half a step.
It happens.
Yeah, and that's why it's literally a game of inches, and that's why I always say pro wrestling, we need to respect every single wrestler because they are legit putting their bodies on the line. If you're a half an inch to the left, the spot looks like crap. If you're half an inch to the right, you can get injured, and that's what happened here. It was nobody's fault. It's an accident. Accidents happen all the time in pro wrestling. That's why I hate it when people go on social media and they slander certain things when they use, it's fake and a botch and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, these wrestlers, each and every night are putting their body on the line for our entertainment. But yeah, hopefully it's just a concussion. My guess is she's not going to be on the Corkin show coming up on Sunday, and rightfully so. Now, if it's something where she just kind of got her bell rung and she just needs her cobwebs, she just needs a day or so to clear it and the doctor's clear, that's fine. But I think to err on the side of caution, especially with the 5-star coming up at the end of this month, and especially with all the other injuries of people out, I think it's probably best maybe to take Rina out of that match, and then you can substitute any 84,000 members of Hate, Sai Kamitani, Momo Watanabe, Ruwaka, Natsuka Tor. There's a whole bunch of other people. You can slide into that spot. I don't think that they should cancel the match.
I don't think they'll cancel it. I think they'll just sub someone in.
I think they'll just sub somebody in for that match. But again, to err on the side of caution, I hope Rina is out of that match. Just again, obviously, I want her in that match, but I want her healthy, and it's a good thing that
we want her safe more than anything. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And again, folks, it's nobody. I've only been on social media for a little bit today. I haven't seen anybody really pointing the finger. It's just accidents in pro wrestling happen. It just happens. And again, it's another reason why I don't care what company you're in. I don't care how good you are, how top of the card that you are. If somebody's in pro wrestling and in a big promotion, whether it's a Stardom, a Marigold, WWE, they deserve all of our respect because they are legit putting their lives on the line, their well-being's on the line for our entertainment. So yeah, speedy wishes to one Rina. We hope that when she comes back, she's 100% clear. But I did breathe the sigh of relief when they said she's moving her limbs and is fine. It looks like it just might be a concussion. So,
yeah, good news. Just wanted to start with that, with it happening literally just a couple of hours ago. Obviously, our thoughts are with Rina at this time. Let's delve into some Marigold news then. And we're going to start with the Dream Star Grand Prix. Obviously, the main event, or the main events of the show that we're going to be talking about from Saitama, was those final 2 qualifiers for the Dream Star Grand Prix. Initially, there was only one spot open, but unfortunately, with Natsumi Shozuki out with a dislocated shoulder, or with a fractured shoulder, I believe, sorry, not a dislocated shoulder, and out till the end of the year, it seems. She did post on social media that she has had surgery and it has been successful. So again, best wishes to Natsumi Shozuki. Of course, it does mean that her spot in the Dream Star Grand Prix was up for grabs. So 2 spots up for grabs in Saitama, and we now have a full collection of 16 wrestlers for the 2025 Dream Star Grand Prix. The names are as follows. Obviously, Mayu Iwatani, Utami Hayashishita, and Mai Sakurai, the last year's finalists. Mirai Mikawano, Koki Amare, Victoria Yuzuki, Sariyama Oka, also making her debut alongside Mayu. Chika Goto, Kazuna Tanaka, Nagisa Nozaki, Chiaki, Misa Matsui, Jan Yota, also making her debut. And then qualifying from the 28th show, Ria Sato and Senka Akatsuki. Now, Matt, we're going to be talking about that show in a lot more detail. We don't know block breakdowns as of yet, but with Marigold running a show on the 17th, I believe, is the next Korakuen Hall show. I imagine we will get block breakdowns and things there because we are less than a month away from the start of the tournament. First of all, great tournament lineup, great set of blocks, whatever configuration they are putting, some really, really intriguing matchups there. Do you think the right people qualified? Just to put my 2 pence in there, I think this was the only 2 wrestlers that should have qualified. I think potentially Kamoma Minami, but these 2, Ria Sato has been so good this year in terms of development, and Senka Akatsuki is really quite special. She is a really special talent, and I think putting her in this tournament is a really good move from Marigold. Even if, again, the likes of Kamomo Minami and Hummingbird might count themselves a little bit unlucky, there are going to be plenty of Dream Star Grand Prix to go on. Kamomo Minami, I think, is 22. I don't know how old Hummingbird is, but there will be times. I think, especially at the moment, I think Senka Akatsuki was the way to go, and certainly, definitely Ria Sato.
I made mention this last week when I did the Marigold Standard that my picks to win were Ria Sato and Senka. Obviously, the more Senka, the better, especially the fact that it's really, again, obviously she wrestles for Marvelous, and now Marvelous is part of Wrestle Universe. So all thumbs up. But one of the many, many, many great things coming out of this ongoing rivalry / feud with Marigold and Marvelous is we get to see more of the Marvelous wrestlers with Ai Hozan, obviously Takumi Iroha, But Senka's one that is completely blowing everybody away. I know a lot of people are, they're tagging her the best rookie in all of Joshi right now, which is saying something because there are some phenomenal ones. Obviously with Sendai Girls, Marigold, Stardom, there's some great ones, and it's hard to argue. So I was really glad that Senka got that spot because, again, we get to see her more wrestling. And then the fact we may get a Mayu match, an Utami match, a Miko Ano match, that's the match I want the most as far as her in this tournament. But I was kind of thinking, Senka, because again, it's going to help continue to build this Marigold and Marvelous feud. And again, they're both on Wrestle Universe, so you can see this, these matches on the same app, which again is really, really smart from Wrestle Universe and both Marigold. I think just Rhea Sato's probably the other person in this tournament that's probably earned it the most. The only other one that I may say that I wouldn't have been hurt, it would be Naomi Ishikawa. Obviously, we've seen Naomi Ishikawa, and her may or may not be alter ego. It was, in one Gigaton. It may have been in the, we didn't get to see actual Naomi Ishikawa enough. But that would be one that I wouldn't, if it was Komomo Manami or Hummingbird, I wouldn't have been upset. But I was kind of saying, I want to see Senka, Rhea Sato, but if it's Naomi Ishikawa, I'd be okay with that. But it was a nice little gauntlet, to flush everything out. Everybody got a nice little spotlight. I thought everybody looked really good. But I think, the fact you only pick two of any of these wrestlers, I think these were the right two. But then again, with Naomi Ishikawa kind of right underneath, and my guess is all these other great wrestlers that were in this gauntlet that didn't qualify, they're probably going to be getting tag matches in between some of these matches. So you're still going to see them on these big shows. But regardless, partner, there is so much talent in this Dream Star. Obviously, you get Utami, Mirai, now we have Mayu in there. We can start kind of dream booking who we want to see in what brackets, and there's really not going to be anything, everybody's going to have something to do. Misa Matsui versus Senka would be good. I wouldn't say no to Misa Matsui versus Mirai. There's going to be a lot of great stuff. Unfortunately, Natsumi Shozuki is missing the tournament. She really had a great tournament last year as far as match quality goes, but again, that's why we need to appreciate each and every wrestler, because you never know when somebody may go down with an injury. So this tournament looks stacked as last year's looked. I'm more looking forward to this one. And this one's a little tougher to predict. I think pretty much everybody last year was like, Utami's going to win this one. Utami's going to win this one. It didn't. And again, there was nothing wrong with it. I think majority of people that we talked to, and I think both me and you both had Utami winning. But this one's still a little up in the air. Obviously this isn't our preview just yet, but kind of my early pick to win. I'm still sticking with one Miko Ano. But again, it really could be. It could be Mayu. It could be Mirai. It could be Mai Sakurai. It could be really one of 3 or 4 wrestlers, partner.
Yeah, it could. There's some really interesting ways they can go with this. My personal feeling, at least for the moment, it could well change. Is Miko Ano. I think that might be the way they go, especially with giving Miko Ano the honor of being the one to retire Nanae Takahashi. I think giving her then the win in the Dream Star, potentially to take on Utami at Grand Destiny. I think is a great way to carry on with the year. We'll see though. Of course, now Ishikawa, I would have loved to have seen her in the Dream Star. I wonder if she is 100% fit. I wonder if they are sort of bringing her back slowly but surely, because obviously we know she's had a couple of issues with injury. I wonder if sort of bringing her back to round out that gauntlet and then sort of bringing her back more steadily. I think again, I don't know. She might be 100% fit and they just opted not to go with her. But it's just, again, something to think about because obviously she has only just come back from injury. We will talk a little bit more about the Dream Star a little bit later on, but we then move to the Wrestle Magic show, Noah Wrestle Magic, from the 30th of June, where Victoria Yuzuki challenged Takumi Iroha for the GHC Women's Championship, unsuccessfully as it turns out, losing with a running 3 in 13 minutes and 4 seconds to become Takumi Iroha's V1 with the belt. Semi-main event of the show as well, Matt, from the Shinagawa Prince Hotel Stella Bar in Tokyo. First things first, before we get into what happened afterwards, which is very exciting, did you watch the match?
Yeah, I did. It was really good, and I'm glad they got 13 minutes to tell their story. Obviously, it would have went 15, 16, 17. I wouldn't have said no to that. But Victoria Yuzuki's really good, again, at that junior style, that high-speed style. Again, former Superfly champion here over at Marigold. And Takumi Iroha's next level. And these two were great, and they did a good job building it up again with this Marvelous Marigold feud. And again, not only are we seeing these matches in Marvelous and Marigold, but now we're seeing them as part of some of the Noah shows on Monday Magic. So it's really bleeding over into a couple different promotions, which was great. So this was a great showcase for Victoria Yuzuki, even in a loss. And Takumi Iroha really, really just keeps demonstrating why she's one of the best wrestlers in all of Joshi. A really excellent, excellent match partner. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And again, I thought Victoria Yuzuki, even in a loss, she came out looking really, really good. You could say that she almost came out looking like gold, maybe marvelous gold. Oh, boom.
Moving swiftly on. Following this, Utami Hayashishita came out and challenged Takumi Iroha once again for that double title match, which Takumi Iroha had sort of put off a little bit. No such concerns here. Immediately said, yeah, I'm sick of putting it off. We are going to do this. It looks like that is going to be at the next Marigold Korakuen, which again, I believe is the 17th of July. Utami Hayashishita, Takumi Iroha looking like a double championship match. Marigold World Title, GHC Women's Championship, blockbuster match, Matt Turner. Wouldn't surprise me, if they cross the 1,000 threshold again with a match like that at the top, especially with potentially Mai Sakurai versus Riko Kawahata for the United National title as well. We won't be getting twin star title defense, obviously, because Riko is challenging for the United National title, but potentially a Mayu Iwatani Superfly Championship match as well. It could be a very, very, very stacked Korakuen Hall show as we head into the Dream Star. I'm really intrigued, Matt, because I think I know how that match is going to finish. And I'm assuming you are thinking the same.
Yes, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see that handsome Rob Goodman is wearing a hat. And that is the pun intended for the Hat Man special. That one
indeed
is going to go to the old TLD, and I will not complain about Takumi Iroha and Utami Hayashishita wrestling for a half an hour in front of, I agree, partner, I think this one will be over 1,000 people. In front of 1,000 people, and those fans in Korakuen Hall are loud in the best way possible. So I have no problem with those two wrestling for a 30-minute time limit. And it would make sense. If it's going to be a champion versus champion match, I don't see Takumi Iroha losing the GHC belt after she just won it and just had a great match with Victoria Yuzuki. And obviously, Utami is going to be champion up for a little bit, whether it's Mayu, whether it's Mirai on a rematch, or it's Miko Ano. I just don't see Utami losing that belt, at least for another few months. So I think the most logical solution is either do the old double knockout, which again, Rossi has not ran that angle in quite some time. He really hasn't. Or if they do the time limit draw. So that would be the way I think that's going to go. And again, I will not complain about it because it absolutely makes sense. And Rossi really has been kind of playing back the time limit draws. We haven't seen too many of them in the last few months. It used to be like one a show or sometimes two a show. So he's really doing a good job not having too many time limit draws. And this would be the perfect place for them. But again, Takumi Iroha and Utami Hayashishita, they wrestled twice back in 2021 in the 5-star Grand Prix, where they went to the time limit draw, and then they ran it back for the World of Stardom Championship when Utami was champion. And I think that match did go over 30 minutes. I can find out because right over here, folks, I do have a little book called Stardom Living the Dream by my good friend, one Mr. Rob Goodwin, where he chronicles every single match from Stardom's 10th anniversary in 2021. But yeah, their record is 1-0-1, and Takumi Iroha is obviously going to look to try to even upset score. But I think time limit draw will get another win here, Rob.
Yeah, and I know that obviously Takumi Iroha is at the moment in Barcelona, Spain, I believe, for RCW, and she's going to be defending, I believe, the GHC Women's Championship again. So we will be at V2, I imagine, by the time she gets round to Utami. And again, yes, absolutely, Victoria Yuzuki did lose in this match, but in the semi-main event of the show, where you look at the comments and everyone is saying this match was just as good as the main event. And everyone was full of praise for her performance. So excellent stuff for the future icon of Marigold. Speaking of the future icon of Marigold, we have 3 wrestlers that are going to be doing their first stints in the USA. And that is, of course, Misa Matsui, Victoria Yuzuki, and Ria Sato, who will be missing this weekend's Marigold shows because they will be taking part in the Sukeban show. at LA Anime Expo. They've all been announced now officially. They hadn't been announced initially, but Victoria Yuzuki is going to be teaming with Commander Nakajima, who of course is Arisa Nakajima, in tag team action against Crush You and Supersonic. We've also got Ria Sato, who will be taking on the mantle of Saori Ano's former character. So it was Countess Saori, it's now Countess Ria Sato. And so I can't not laugh at this. Misamatsu has also been announced. But have you seen what her name is, Matt?
It's tough for me to follow. It really is, because this is almost this Sukeban company. I hear some people saying it's not wrestling. It is. It is. Wrestling can be whatever you want it to be. That's the beauty thing of pro wrestling. But this is just wild. And again, just to kind of rewind the tape 20 seconds, I like how they're using Soriano's gimmick in this company, almost like Batman, where obviously we saw so many different people have been Batman throughout the comics. Obviously, it was Bruce Wayne, then you had Dick Grayson, a couple other people played Batman. I like how that's kind of like, we'll put whoever we want into it. We'll change the name a little bit, and we'll make that kind of like our legacy character. But no, sir, what is the character that Psycho Speed is playing? Please enlighten me, good sir.
Smack in the box.
Mac in the box, like mac and cheese?
No. Smack.
Oh, smack.
Smack in the box.
I was thinking like Man in the Box, like Alice in Chains.
No, it's a dreadful name. It's a dreadful
No,
name.
It's the best name.
Behave. You know what, though? Irrelevant. 5th of July, Sukeban, LA at Anime Expo. I am really happy for these three wrestlers getting to wrestle in the United States for the first time. I believe someone, and I can't remember for the life of me who it is, it might be Ria Sato, actually, is going one-on-one with Tomoka Inaba's character, which is, of course, Stray Cat, which is, of course, why she's not on the Stardom Korakuen Hall show, and it's also why Azusa Inaba isn't on that card, because she is in America with her sister. So there you go, a little bit of behind the curtain. I wish all these three a lot of success, and I hope that they do more Sukeban shows together. Have I made up that they're doing London? I think I have made that up. Moving on, then, we have a return from injury, and that return is Mia Momono. She is returning from injury on July 13th. Now, she initially went out injured on the 9th of February after sustaining a torn UCL in her left elbow, and the initial prognosis was between 3 and 6 months out with that injury. She posted something on her social media, actually. I think it was just after she'd had the cast off, and the bruising was still unreal. It was like, oh my God. In fact, if for those who are watching on YouTube, you can still actually see the scar on the photo of Mio. However, during Marigold's Shinjuku Face Show on June 27th, Mia Momono came out and announced that she would be returning on July 13th in Shinkiba First Ring. Wouldn't you know it, Matt? There was some Marigold wrestlers in attendance. What are the odds? It was Mirai and Kazuna Tanaka. They came in and challenged for a tag match, and it is going to be Mia Momono and a tag team partner of her choosing against the Marigold team of Mirai and Kazuna Tanaka, July 13th, Shinkiba First Ring. Matt, at the time of recording, I don't think Mio's partner has been announced, but I know that 4 days later, the Sendai Girls Korakuen Hall show, she is once again teaming with Uriah Oka as Bob Momo Banana. So it wouldn't surprise me if it's her and Uriah Oka versus Mirai and Kazuna Tanaka. But again, that's all speculation.
How do you not pull the trigger and have him Bob Momo Banana? You already have the one there. You know what I mean? That's like having Jim Bronzell was hurt. He comes back from an injury. I have a mystery partner to take on Demolition. Who else could it be but, B. Brian Blair? You got to get the Killer Beast. Same thing here. How do you not pull the trigger? Not unless they want another Marigold wrestler here, but you're absolutely right. This just seemed very suspect. That's like, Mirai and Kazuna Tanaka just happen to be hanging out in the Marigold gear at a wrestling show. What could possibly happen here? We don't need Sherlock Holmes to figure this one out, brother. I mean, if this was the idea, the whole setup, I am all for it. Again, it doesn't matter what wrestler they put in there. It's going to be a great match just because how great the other three wrestlers are. But again, how are you not pulling the trigger on Bob Bob Moma Banana? Not only a great tag team, but a really, really cool gimmick. And I think that's something that would kind of get over really well in a Marigold ring. And just because Marigold is the company outside of Stardom I follow the most, selfishly, that's the match that I want. And I think all of us Marigold fans, that's the match that we want. So fingers crossed, we will see Bob Bob Moma Banana. Andy had his new favorite tag team in Marigold coming up in just a few short weeks. And if that's the case, just imagine putting that tag team in current day Marigold against a Celine Flora, against a Mayu and an Utami, or a Mayu and a Victoria Yuzuki. I mean, against a Magenta, against a Darkness Revolution Army. I mean, there's so many great teams that they can work with.
Absolutely. Moving on then, unfortunately, a little bit of injury news. Nagisa Tachibana is going to be off cards for a little while to recover from some poor health. Nothing else has been announced in regards to what the injury is or indeed a timetable for return. However, it has been confirmed that she will be off the shows for a little while. So again, we extend our best wishes for Nagisa because she has been doing such tremendous work. It's never a good time to be injured, but yeah, I hope that she comes back as energized and back fit and healthy as soon as is humanly possible.
Yes, sir.
We have got announced, though, the cards for the 5th and 6th of July coming up this weekend, including some Marigold debuts and also, most importantly, Miko Ueno's homecoming show in West Akawagai in Saitama on the 5th of July. The full cards for those shows are as follows. It is worth pointing out just before I do that due to being in the United States, as I mentioned before, Victoria Yuzuki, Ria Sato, Misa Matsui will miss those shows, as will Natsumi Shozuki through that long-term injury. Ryoko Sakimura will also be missing as well as she begins her recovery, and Nagisa Tachibana will also be missing. However, we do have the debut of both Johnny Robbie, which is very exciting after seeing her during Vegas weekend. Again, similar to My World on almost every show we were at, and indeed Amira as well. So two very, very exciting wrestlers who have been doing good stuff on their tour of Marvelous. I'm looking forward to seeing them in a Marigold ring. Anyway, that being said, Burning Desire in West Akawago in Saitama on the 5th of July. Again, Miko Ueno's homecoming show. We'll see now Ishikawa versus Hummingbird. There will obviously be slight card changes due to the injury of Nagisa Tachibana. Koki Amare, Nagisa Tachibana, and Komomo Minami versus Megaton, Johnny Robbie, and Amira. Komomo Minami and Kazuna Tanaka versus Seri Yamoka and Yuka Yamazaki. Mirai Saku team together once more, Mirai and Mai Sakurai, to take on the Darkness Revolution team of Nagisa Nozaki and Chiaki. And then in your main event, a stellar homecoming match for Miko Ueno. She will team for the first time with Mayu Iwatani against Utami Hayashishita and Chika Goto. Matt, a stellar main event for that show on the 5th.
Yeah, again, that whole card looks really, really good. Again, despite the absence of Ria Sato, Misa Matsui, and Victoria Yuzuki, as you mentioned before. Really solid card. Obviously, the main event is the thing that sticks out the most, with Miko Ueno teaming with Mayu Iwatani to take on Utami Hayashishita, the Crimson Red Belt champion, who won Utami Hayashishita, and an ever-improving and super fired up Chika Goto. Now, Rob, obviously, we're looking at this match graphic here. If you're watching this on YouTube, I want you to squint your eyes just a little bit, and underneath Homecoming, you can see Chika Goto eats pinfall. So I think that's
poor Chika Goto.
It's Miko Ueno's Homecoming. You look at the variables here. Again, I mean, maybe Miko Ueno does pin Utami, and then we kind of start building towards that match. But regardless, this is going to be a great match. And one of the great things about this match, regardless of Chika Goto taking the pinfall, Mayu, Miko Ueno, and especially Tommy Hayashishita, they do a great job taking somebody kind of in the middle of the card that is getting some momentum and making it look like they belong. Obviously Utami, Miko Ueno, Mayu, they're probably your top three workers, probably with Mirai Mai Sakurai, probably, right in there. They're probably your top three best workers in this company, and three main eventers that they're definitely building the company around. And they're going to make Chika Goto look like $1 million in this match, because that's what great wrestlers do. They get everybody else in the match over. Regardless, it's going to be a really fantastic match. And anytime we get to see Mayu across the ring from Utami Hayashishita, always a big fan of that. And Rob, it seems like we say it about once a month on the Marigold Standard since the beginning of this year. We always get these little teases with Miko Ueno and Utami Hayashishita. I think that we're starting to build things up a little bit more because I really think that is going to be a big championship match we're going to be getting sometime soon. Again, another really stacked show for Marigold, and really just stacked shows just in pro wrestling this entire month of July. Obviously this show, as we're recording, this show's tomorrow. We also have the announcements of the 5-Star Grand Prix. We have the Evolution show coming up next week. We have the obviously All In coming up now. I'm supposed to go to a kid's birthday party on Saturday. That might be a in and out, I don't know. We'll find out.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wrestling comes first, but no, regardless,
They won't remember. They're a child. It's fine.
Yeah, I think it's Amber's cousin's kids. I think they're 2 and 5. I don't know.
They're not gonna know.
They don't need me there. They just want presents.
Exactly.
They want presents from Aunt Amber. They don't need me there. But anywho, again, this show is going to be absolutely stacked. Marigold is really putting on some must-see shows, and the momentum continues to keep on going, buddy, as we get ready for the Dream Star Grand Prix.
Indeed. Final bit of news then before we kick into the one show that we are reviewing, and that is that Marigold have announced the tour that will follow the Dream Star Grand Prix, and that is going to be Marigold Battle Heart 2025, which will run through September 20th all the way through to the 17th of November 2025, basically taking us to the end of the year, which is crazy that we're already talking about the end of the year 2025. Doesn't seem like too long ago that we were talking about the Winter Wonderful Fight Tour. Just last year. Crazy how quickly this has gone. 2 Korakuen Hall shows during that tour, Monday the 13th of October and Monday the 17th of November. Of course, during that run, we have got the Marigold Grand Destiny show in Ryogoku Yikan, which means that we have not got long until we've got Mayu Iwatani saying that Sunday the 26th of October. 3 different dates at the 176 box in Osaka, as well as debuts in the venues of the Chikujo. Damn it, I tried that as well before the podcast. Town Community Center in Fukuoka and the Yamaguchi Refresh Park in Yamaguchi as well. The full tour dates are on the website, but it looks like it's going to be a long tour to follow the Dream Star, which is great. Obviously, Yamaguchi is Mayu Iwatani's home prefecture, so I wonder if they will run that as a homecoming show for her. Just speaking of Mayu Iwatani, who wrestled on this show, need I say more? She's got a fractured rib, yet still wrestled on this show, still seconded like a madwoman on this show, and also stayed behind to disassemble the ring and do stuff like that. Hashtag that's my icon. Again, it's really great to see when superstars and people who are famous, for lack of a better word, don't let it go to the head and are still very aware of their roots and things like that. And Rossi Ogawa put something on Twitter about it as well, about an icon is more than just the word and things like that. Really pointing over how proud of Mayu he was. And then I know that they were doing a load of photo shoots as well. So the wear never stops, even with a fractured rib for Mayu Iwatani. So all credit to her.
Leading by example, buddy. Leading by example.
Absolutely. And with that, Matt Turner, we go to the 28th of June, the one show that we will be talking about today, and that emanated from the Kasakabe Furai Cube in Saitama. There was no attendance information, at least at the time of checking, that could be said about this show. It was the first time that Marigold have run the venue, though. In terms of results, let's run those down very quickly. You open with a 3-way match. Seri Yamaoka defeating Koki Amare and Megaton in 5 minutes and 16 seconds. Chanyota, Mai Sakurai, and Miko Aono teamed up to defeat the team of Chikagoto, Kazuna Tanaka, and Utami Hayashishita in 14 minutes and 39 seconds. In a 6-woman tag, the team of Mayu Iwatani, Mirai, and Victoria Yuzuki defeated the Darkness Revolution team of Chiaki, Misa Matsui, and Nagisa Nozaki in 16 minutes and 49 seconds. And then the main event matches of this show, those 2 Dream Star Grand Prix qualifying gauntlet matches. Ria Sato defeated Minami Yuki, Naomi Ishikawa, and Yuka Yamazaki in 8 minutes and 51 seconds to become the first qualifier for the Dream Dream Star Grand Prix. This was then followed by Senka Akatsuki. She defeated Hummingbird and Komomo Minami and Nagisa Tachibana in 9 minutes and 43 seconds to become the second and final qualifier for this year's Dream Star Grand Prix. Before we get to that, Matt, let's talk about this three-way Koki Amare versus Seriamoka versus Happy Megaton. Matt, what are your thoughts?
This was a fun match. It was a fun opener. You know, by no means, again, was this Savage versus Steamboat. This wasn't Steamboat versus Flair. But it was really fun. Like, again, you have Saraya Miyoka. She's a super rookie. She's going to accomplish anything she wants to in this professional wrestling. Koki Amare, you can see she's getting each and every match. She's getting more comfortable. She's being able, like, it just really seems like her timing's getting there. It seems like whatever ring rush she has is pretty much off, and it's the perfect time again with the Dream Star coming up. She's somebody that is massively over, you know, just on her entrance alone. You know that is a star. No disrespect to Koki and Sari, Megaton was the most over person in this match.
Yeah, she was.
It seems to constantly happen. Again, you kind of have your comedy stuff with Megaton. Anytime you got Koki and Sari in there, you're like, ooh, that's something we can really build toward the future around on this company, because those two had really good chemistry and a lot of really interesting things. Ultimately, though, it is Saraya Miyoka forcing Megaton to tap out, but not right away. Ever since Happy Megaton, we've gotten Happy Megaton, that we do see that it's taking her a little bit longer to submit, but ultimately Sari does get the win here. Again, a fun opener. Always great seeing Koki Amare. Again, just her presence alone, you know that's somebody that is a star in this business of professional wrestling. I gave it the gentleman's 3 stars.
So it turns out the resilience of Megaton is in the happy makeup. There you go. There you go.
That's her powers.
That's what it is. That's what it is. 6-woman tag them match. The ladyship theme of Mai Sakurai, Miko Ano, and Chan Yota getting a win over Chikagoto, Kazuna Tanaka, and Utami Hayashishita. I love seeing Mai Sakurai and Miko Ano team together because I think they've got such great chemistry. I love that we are getting more Chan Yota on these shows. Hopefully we see her more and more. What were your thoughts on this match?
This was great. I absolutely love this match. I'm kind of trying to figure out where Chan Yota in these factions that we're just making up as we go on the Marigold.
Yeah, as we go along.
Is she in the ladyship or is she King's Journey? Because she fits in really well with both these. You know, we've seen her teaming with Mai Sakurai quite a bit, and Miko Ano, again, more than likely that is going to be the ladyship again in our minds. But she was really good here with 2/3 of King's Journey and Kazuna Tanaka and Utami Hayashishita. One of the great things about this match, again, 15 minutes, enough time to tell their story. Everybody had something to do. With majority of this match, people saying, boy, howdy, I want to see Utami versus Miko Ano. And I think it was about 2 months ago, partner, you mentioned it. I would love to see on a Korakuen or KBS Hall show, Chan Yota versus Utami Hayashishita, because they had great chemistry at a match we talked about, I think, back in March or April. And really great chemistry here. I mean, Utami Hayashishita does a really great job bumping and feeding and making it look like Chan Yota can absolutely kick her ass. Another match I would like to see, because maybe post Dream Star, Kazuna Tanaka versus Mai Sakurai for the United National Championship, because they worked well here. Again, everybody looked really, really good in this match. There wasn't any dull moment. Everybody had their time to shine. What ultimately was Miko Ano being able to put away one Kazuna Tanaka, and that's a match I would like on night 1 of the Dream Star Grand Prix. Puts her away with the buzzsaw kick. Really, really fantastic match. A lot of different great combinations that just seem to work. That just goes to show you just the talent level that we have in all 6 of these great athletes for Marigold. And again, the time that they had almost 15 minutes to tell their story, nothing was rushed. Everybody got over. Everybody had something to do. 3 3/4 stars for me, my friend. This was fantastic. My favorite match of this show.
It wouldn't surprise me if Kazuna Tanaka does get that shot at the white belt. It does feel like that would be her shot. Obviously, Victoria Yuzuki, we haven't seen have a white or a red belt shot as of yet. And I feel like Victoria Yuzuki is more likely to get it first ahead of Kazuna Tanaka if we're just going in a sort of pecking order way. But I think Kazuna Tanaka is someone who could be a holder of that belt and hold it for very much like Tam Nakano. I feel like that sort of vibe with that white belt. So that pure white belt anyway. So I'm looking forward to that inevitable ascent up to that picture for Kazuna Tanaka, because she's another one who just is fantastic and improves every time she's in the ring. I really do look forward to watching Kazuna Tanaka. Moving on then, Mayu Iwatani, Victoria Yuzuki, and Mirai taking on the Darkness Revolution. Again, it is worth noting that Mayu Iwatani is wrestling this match with a fractured goddamn rib, so it's probably a good job she wasn't against Mirai. But she did have Nagisa Nozaki on the other side, which is perhaps just as bad. Matt, no victory for the Darkness Revolution team here, but when you look at how stacked the other side is, are you surprised in the slightest?
No, really good match. Mayu, I'm not going to say she was taking it easy, but she wasn't wrestling like it was Cork and Hall. Like, I was worried when she announced she had a fractured rib, and the next day they're like, no, she's still going to be competing on this show. I'm like, okay, it's a 6-person tag. You can kind of work around her. Marigold, they literally got Mayu at the perfect time because the company was doing really, really good numbers. And then basically we're getting this Mayu Iwatani effect. And I'm sure, Rob, you've noticed, I've noticed, and a lot of our listeners have noticed that when we watch these Marigold shows, there's not many empty seats in the building. There's not many empty seats in the building. And it's a few different reasons why, but basically I'm going to say it's the Mayu Iwatani effect. Again, really great stuff here, especially with Chiaki. I think Chiaki, they did a good job making her like the old 80s, 70s, 80s heel. And from what we understand, like that's like the wrestling she likes to watch. It's like she likes to be that old school style heel. And they really, really pointed that out there. Once the baby faces get the advantage, we get the Darkness Revolution army all over the place. Brawl, that is custom. And again, that's of course, why wouldn't you? Ultimately, though, it's Victoria Yuzuki. She comes in and she absolutely cleans house. Then we get Mirai coming in. She starts cleaning house on Nagisa Nozaki and Misa Matsui. Look like she's starting to build herself up. Then Chiaki just takes out Mirai out of nowhere with this big spear. Mayu and Yuzuki, they wind up taking out Nagisa Nozaki and Misa Matsui. That's a tag match I would like to see. Mayu and Yuzuki versus Misa and Chiaki. So they kind of, all four of them kind of take each other out. And then we get this mini match with Mirai and Chiaki. Again, that's a match I would like to see somewhere in the Dream Star Grand Prix because they work really well together, especially with Mirai having that fighting spirit and that big comeback. Ultimately, she puts her away with a massive lariat. Solid stuff. 3.5 stars for me, partner.
And then we move on to the two main event matches of this show. First off, Ria Sato defeating Minami Yuki, Naoya Ishikawa, and Yuka Yamazaki. So we opened up with Minami Yuki and Naoya Ishikawa. That went to a time limit draw, which meant that both women were eliminated, which meant that the winner of the next match, which was Ria Sato and Yuki Yamazaki, would automatically qualify for the Dream Star. Ria Sato getting the victory there. Matt, obviously, I think both these gauntlet matches were very good. I think it gave the women enough time to really highlight why they should be in the tournament. Something we didn't mention, actually, when we talk about people who should have qualified. Minami Yuki is another one who, again, I think this tournament came a little bit too soon for her when you look at the caliber of talent in that tournament, but I think she's certainly someone who is going to be in the conversation next year without a shadow of a doubt. What did you think of this first match?
I really liked it. I mean, they started out, you only had the one draw. You kind of figure, because they did make very clear in the rules that if there's the old TLD, both wrestlers are going to be eliminated. So you knew you were getting one
At
in
least
there.
one.
And we kind of got it out of the way. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because I thought Minami Yuki and Naoya Ishikawa, again, very much like I said in the beginning of us reviewing this with Sari and Koki Amare, there's something there. There's something there that they can say, ooh, we can build upon that. And there was definitely something there with Naoya Ishikawa and Minami Yuki. I thought that they had some really, really interesting, really good chemistry. Ultimately, though, we had the time limit draw, and then we went down to Ria Sato and Yuka. So obviously Ria Sato getting the win there with the cattle mutilation. Again, the Japanese Dragon strikes again. Folks, just a quick prediction. My guess for all you AEW fans is, now that the main event is a Texas death match, my guess is the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, comes in the very end of the match and helps Hangman Page win the championship. I think that's what's going to happen. Anywho, the Japanese Dragon, she strikes again. She winds up qualifying. But it's interesting that you had your Marigold wrestler only needing to win one match, but then you have the one wrestler that's in this tournament that is not a Marigold wrestler. She had to win multiple matches. So you're really putting more of a little bit of a steam, nothing too crazy here, but you put more of a steam on Senka. Again, she's somebody everybody is talking about. The fact that like she's this super rookie, and this year that we've had of Joshi rookies over the last 12 and 14 months, it's just absolutely crazy. And considering that she's wrestling for maybe the fourth biggest Joshi company, Stardom, Marigold, Sendai Girls, maybe Marvelous, but she's the Joshi rookie everybody's talking about. But I liked how like Senka was an absolute buzzsaw, especially with those shoot pins. You know, I always like a good cover, Rob. You know, me and you have done hundreds of alternate commentaries for the Patreon over at the Stardom Cast, and I always put over a good cover. But I like how Senka, every time she gets a cover, she'll do a different variation. She'll hook one leg, she'll hook two legs, she'll basically go over the head for like a quarter Nelson. And it's the simple things like that. Like she's a super rookie, but she's not doing Asai moonsaults or she's not doing Sasuke specials. She's getting over with pure wrestling and intensity. And you absolutely need to love that. Again, Rhea Sato looked great here. As good as the other wrestlers were in that second half of the bracket, it was all about just making Senka an absolute beast. And job well done. Job well done. Considering the fact that she's the one that gets the last pinfall in the main event on this show, clearly Marigold and Marvelous have big plans for Senka, and nobody's complaining. Nobody's complaining. Her bracket is going to be the one once they're announced. That's the one I'm going to be looking at the most because, again, these are matches that we may never see in 6 or 7 months because she's not part of the Marigold roster where Mayu, Mirai, Utami, so on and so forth are. But really good stuff. But as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, I think that as much as we love Hummingbird and now Ishikawa, I think the right two people won with Rhea Sato and one Senka.
I can't wait for the Twitter comments to come for Matt when they hear that he didn't put TJPW in the top 4 Joshi promotions.
Oh my goodness. It might be number 2. That's right. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I apologize.
Oh, Matt Turner.
Fan. Oh my goodness. Oh my, I apologize. I do need to watch.
I was like, he's missing someone big here. Who's he missing? There was like TJPW. Was like, oh God.
Yeah, they've been number 2. Hey, hold on. I am apologizing right now. This is going to be my yearly summer apology that I had. Saya Kamitani last year. TJPW. Yes, I have not. I know they just ran Ryogoka Kakakigen, I think not that long ago. I actually started watching some of the show, so I'm going to try to get that in this weekend, but maybe not. Apologies to the TJPW fans. I'm trying my best for the listeners of Talk Joshi to watch more Tokyo Joshi Pro. I'm trying to get about 4 to 5 hours of sleep every night, folks, and just it's not working. It's not working. My apologies to you fine folks over at Tokyo Joshi Pro. Quit trying to put heel heat on me, Rob Goodwin. I'm trying to babyface myself. I already got heel heat with my 11-year-old nephew.
He's just greedy wanting 4 or 5 hours sleep. Sleep is for the weak, Turner, and you know that. Obviously, main event that match then was the qualifying gauntlet that saw Senka Akatsuki go through. So we opened with Komomo Minami and Nagisa Nozaki. Komomo Minami getting the win in 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Senka Akatsuki was the next person in. She defeated Komomo Minami in 2 minutes and 48 seconds, which then saw the longest sort of mini match in this gauntlet, which was Senka versus Hummingbird. That went 4 minutes and 48 seconds with Senka, going over the enigmatic Hummingbird to qualify. Again, Matt, good matches, gave everyone time to sort of showcase their strengths and things like that. But ultimately, the right people went over. And I know I've just said that the Senka and Hummingbird match was the longest one, but we had one time limit draw. I meant that got a result, is what I meant.
I'm not going to, everybody in the comments, he doesn't understand time. Yeah, give that heat back. Give that heat back. I just realized we're probably going to Tokyo Joshi Pro right before Wrestle Kingdom on the 4th.
Yeah,
they
probably
always do that annual thing. So yeah, I'm sure the fans will be. You're gonna remind them as we're getting towards
absolutely.
The end of the year.
I'm gonna get onto them. I'm gonna go to the house, mate.
You're like this. You're just gonna storm the ring at Cork and all.
Absolutely. This guy thinks you're the 9th biggest Joshi promotion in the world. 9th.
1,400 people in Cork and all. They always draw a big number because
Pure J. Behind Pure J.
Oh, and Sukeban. They do 2 shows a year. Oh my God. I know a lot of people like when we go 2 hours. We're going to be right around an hour. But damn, this was fun, partner. We've missed you these last few weeks. I got to turn this fan on over here. I'm sweating.
But yes, the correct people won. Obviously, we now have a rounded out card for the Dream Star Grand Prix. A couple of early predictions then, Matt, before we head into Gazer Julia. In terms of sort of, again, this is not our bracketology episode. This is not our preview episode, anything like that. We will do a proper preview and breakdown of both the 5-star Grand Prix and the Dream Star Grand Prix, as well as they are basically happening at the exact same time. So it's going to be a busy month for us. But who is your early call for winner, runner-up, and breakout star? Let's see if we can align our ideas.
Miko Ano, I think we both kind of were in alignment.
As the winner, yeah.
As far as runner-up, like who she would wrestle in the other side of the bracket, let's go with Mai Sakurai. Let's go with, again, this is kind of early. Let her go back to back, and then MVP, like basically breakout star. I'm going to say Victoria Yuzuki. I'm going to say Victoria Yuzuki, with maybe Kazuna Tanaka and Senka being right. There's so many wrestlers that can really break out. By breakout, folks, we don't mean like Utami, Mayu. They're already main eventers. Like we know, maybe we're just spoiled. We know they're going to have great matches. We mean a wrestler that's kind of in the middle of the card, upper mid card, that they can now build upon coming off this tournament. So yeah, I'm going to say Miko Ano versus Sakurai is going to be the final. Again, this is early pick. And then I'm going to say Yuzuki is the breakout star. But let's say you there, Mr. Tokyo Joshi Pro. What do you think you got going on here?
So I think Miko Ano wins as well, Mr. Tokyo Joshi Pro. I'm going to go runner-up. I'm undecided. Obviously, these are going to change once we get the brackets announced and things like that, and who is going to be in what side. I think your runner-up, you could run either Mirai or Victoria Yuzuki. I think both of those would make worthy finalists. I don't know whether they would put Mirai in that position again, having just had her lose the red belt opportunity. But you can sort of run that story of Mirai is constantly, a hair's breadth away from the red belt, but can't seem to get the job done. You can sort of run that story, which sort of creates that sense of wanting with the fans, and then when she does eventually get that title, because she will, it's a case of when, not if, with Mirai. When she does eventually get it, it's going to be a huge cathartic release of emotion. In terms of my breakout star, I think there's two, Ria Sato and Chan Yota. I think are two to really, really keep an eye on during this tournament. And again, Chan Yota would not surprise me, Matt, if she is in the same side of the bracket as Utami and she gets pinfall over the champion.
I would throw another question at you, buddy. Obviously, we're thinking this tournament is where Mayu is going to eat her first singles pinfall loss in Marigold. Who is the person that you have beat Mayu in her first?
Megaton.
Not even in the tournament, folks. That's a hot
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Storms the ring. Storms the ring.
Lariat, burning hammer, floor 50.
Absolutely. Mayu ain't getting out of that with a broken rib. Come on.
Like you prepared for that question. Like you thought I
was. I surprised myself with how close, with how prepared I was.
The Megaton press does make sense. He's got the hurt rib. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's an interesting one because there's a lot of ways you could go with that. I'm sort of looking at the field now, and Mirai might be the way to go.
I'm going to say you're going to make a big deal of it, and it's going to be Koki Amare.
Ooh, Koki Amare is another one.
I do like your Megaton pick, though. I mean, I kind of had it in my head, like I think Koki Amare, because we're slowly building her up. And again, they had a lot of steam behind her at the end of the year, going to the beginning of the year, and then she got injured. So Koki Amare would make sense, but then the Megaton thing makes even doubly sense.
Well, Matt, you've just said who was the most over in that three-way match that opened the show. Wasn't Seri Yamaoka and Koki Amare, was it? It was Megaton. So
happy Megaton.
There you go. There you go. Matt Turner, obviously, we've talked about our shows for the weekend during the news. 5th and the 6th of July, Marigold will be on Wrestle Universe. It will be on video on demand. Forgot the words then. There is another show that they have announced the card for the 12th of July, but with that happening next week, we're going to do that in next week's show. I don't want to overburden you with a ridiculous amount of matches, so I'll talk about that next week, which means that it's time to gaze at Julia, Matt Turner.
Gaze at Julia. We go to the match that they have been building up on SmackDown for the last month or so. For the United States Championship, for the Women's United States Champion, we have Zelina Vega defending against the beautiful Madness herself, the winner of the 2022 5-Star Grand Prix, the winner of the 2020 Cinderella Tournament, because we're talking about all these tournaments, we may as well add those in too as well. One, Julia, again, these two had really great chemistry back at their Money in the Bank qualifier that also included one, Charlotte Flair. Great technical wrestling to start off this match. Julia starts grinding down one Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega comes back with almost kind of like her high-speed style of offense. She's another one that has really improved her game over the last year or so. Has really great chemistry with Julia. Julia tries to take a powder on the outside, but Zelina Vega will not give her any room to breathe. She hits a second rope moonsault onto the beautiful Madness. And it's really funny because once she goes for the moonsault, everybody's chanting for Julia. You're like, poor Zelina Vega, like she's doing this upside down flip, putting her life on the line, and everyone's like, Julia, Julia. They go back in the ring, some great near falls back and forth between the two. Ultimately, Julia hits not one, but two of the Arrivederci knees, also known as the G trigger for you Stardom fans. That opens up the door for the Northern Lights bomb. Julia gets the win. And again, a really great match. I wish they would have got more time to tell their story, but really great stuff between the two. And Julia is your new United States Women's Champion.
And there you go. Richly deserved. I'm looking forward to those defenses and who the first defense will be against. Poor Matt Turner. Megaton. Always. If Megaton's not the answer, I don't want to know what the question is.
That's the next shirt.
Absolutely. Do you know why it is the next shirt? That's a great shirt. Ladies and gentlemen, that does bring us to the end of the Marigold Standard at almost exactly an hour. So you are welcome, ladies and gentlemen. If you like us, please find us and like and subscribe on the podcast app of your choice. We are literally everywhere. If you want these episodes early and ad-free, please consider joining our Patreon at patreon.com/the Stardom Cast, as you can get all of these episodes early and ad-free for as little as $1 a month. $1 a month, 25 cents a week. It is nothing, ladies and gentlemen. It really does help the podcast out. You can go to Talk Joshi, where you can get all of the news that we've talked about today, as well as all of our archived episodes, our show reports, our show previews, the news, and a whole load of stats and histories to do with Stardom and Marigold. You can find us on social media at Marigold Podcast, apart from on Threads, Blue Sky, and on Instagram, where we are Talk Joshi. You can find me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Mr. Matt Turner. Sounds off, good sir.
Folks, don't forget this Sunday, my interview with Jasmine Allure, fresh off her fantastic match with former World of Stardom champion Bea Priestley. That'll be on your feed this Sunday, so don't forget to tune into that one. But folks, questions, comments, suggestions, and let me know anything you need from me. Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and Twitter is the easiest, fastest, and best way to get a hold of me. But if you're like, Matt, I want to shoot you an email, I have the address for you. Rob Goodwin, help our listeners out. The email address simply is thestardomcast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another fun edition of the Marigold Standard. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do it without you. But like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast, because when all together, everybody's different, everybody's special.